Hello you plonkers and welcome back today to another video on the Drewzy channel. We're back for another video. The AFL season is wrapped up, so let's see what I had to say at the start of the season when I predicted what was going to happen in the 2022 season. I am here reacting to my season predictions. That's what we're here to do today. I always say in my season predictions, make sure you don't roast me until the end of the season until I get it wrong. So this is your opportunity to roast me in the comments. Go as hard as you want. Because I mess up a lot of them probably. I actually haven't seen it since making it, so it's going to come as a shock, some of these, but it should be a lot of fun. If you enjoy the video, make sure you like and subscribe if you are new. As always, these videos are brought to you by manscaped.com, and using code Drewzy20 at checkout will give you free worldwide shipping and 20% off your order. They've just dropped the Platinum package, which contains everything you need in the bathroom: a 2-in-1 shampoo, a deodorant, body wash, cologne, the Lawnmower 4.0, the best electric shaver for below the belt grooming on the market, etc, etc. You know how good Manscaped are. They're the best in the business. Use the link in the description and go help yourself to some great products. Let's get in to see what this mug had to say about 8 months ago. Taking out the wooden spoon in season 2022, I believe it will be the Gold Coast Suns. Rats! Coast have just been stinking it up ever since they've joined the league, to be honest. Let's not try to kid ourselves here. They finished 15th last season, I believe, right near the bottom, and Ben King's done an ACL. They really didn't show me much last year that I thought, you know what, Gold Coast are on the right path. They had a decent win against Richmond at one point, and Collingwood, but again, right, I've heard enough. Absolute stinker here. Gold Coast actually finished in 12th and had their best ever season. So very far off on this one. Mate, might be a show on Levi Casbolt. Who needs Ben King? They are kings themselves. Stewie Dew will be on the chopping block this year. I reckon he'll get sacked and Gold Coast will finish last. That's a massive call. Stewie Dew's going to get sacked and Gold Coast suck next. It's always easy to put Gold Coast at the bottom because I don't know if they have any fans that watch my videos. So it's easy to just chuck them at the bottom and not cop as much abuse as if I put like an Essendon at the bottom or something like that. In 17th position, I have the Collingwood Magpies. For fuck's sake. Only 13 places wrong. It's not that bad. Disappointing way for the season to go for Collingwood. They were touted by many to be right up in the finals picture again, as they had been in previous seasons, but the project failed with Buckley at the Pies. Pause right there. So I've said they were very good in previous years, and then the project failed under Nathan Buckley. Obviously, they've just picked up where they left off before that shitty year with Buckley, and they've flown straight back up the ladder where they probably deserved to be if that year under Buckley was, you know, erased. So makes sense. And I just don't think their list depth is that great at Collingwood. What a mug. In 16th place, I have the Adelaide Crows. After finishing last, if I'm not mistaken, in 2020, they were actually quite hard to beat last year. They beat Melbourne at home and also Geelong, so obviously they can compete with the best sides when they're up for it. They're still in a rebuild. They lack quite a lot of star power. Jordan Dawson was a great addition, and he's going to bring them a lot of quality and some high pressure play, but Adelaide, you're still in a rebuild, and I think you're going to linger in the bottom 4 again. Not the worst call in the world. Only 2 spots off. That's not too bad. Come on now. Cut me some slack there. In 15th place, I have the North Melbourne Kangaroos. Even though North finished bottom last year, I actually liked how they competed. And this might sound stupid because they got battered just about every week. And they continued to get battered every week, like a snapper at a fish and chip shop. I just like the intent that they play with. There's times in games where they can just turn it on, and I like it. I like what I'm seeing down at the Kangaroo Land. I think their rebuild's actually coming along quite nicely. Even though they finished last season, I expect them to climb up to 15th, and wouldn't be surprised if they climbed up further. Well, North Melbourne had pretty much the same season as they did the year before. Bit of a stinker call there because obviously they got the spoon. Another team who I think is on the up is Hawthorn. I'm going to have them finishing in 14th. That's not bad. A lot of people are writing them off given that they've ditched Clarkson off and they're sort of in that post-premiership era of a rebuild. But I think Hawthorn are very, very well drilled, to be honest. I reckon Hawthorn could surprise a lot of people this year. I've put them 14th, but I wouldn't be surprised if they finished a lot higher. There you go. Hawthorn started the season very well. They beat Geelong earlier on, competed with Carlton when they were in that red-hot streak. Started the season very well. Tailed off towards the end of the season, obviously, as young sides do. But I reckon I'm going to give myself a pat on the back for that one. They actually finished 13th, so only 1 spot off. Putting the Hawks 14th seemed like a big call at the time, and they finished a spot higher. I'm going to say I called that one. In 13th place, I have the West Coast Eagles. Too generous. But it was just like an uphill battle all year for West Coast. They just couldn't get into their groove at all. Kept getting stunted by little injuries here and there. And they just couldn't get their season rolling. It was like they were trying to drive up an uphill road with no friction on their tyres. And it was just spinning, and slowly going downhill. Kept going downhill. Did not stop. Those frictionless tyres burnt out. It just started rolling right backwards all the way to 17th. Basically, I think Freo will be better than West Coast this year for the foreseeable future as well. Get in. Factual. Coming in at 12th, I have Carlton. Already the dislikes are raining in and the abusive Carlton fans are getting in the comments. Hold on a second. I go on to say here that every season I get the most flack for putting Carlton wherever I put them. So if I put them second, Carlton fans will be like, why didn't you put them first? And the fact that I've touted them to miss finals, and they did, I'm going to give myself a pat on the back for that as well. But you haven't made finals in a decade. Still haven't. Why feel entitled like you're going to make the finals every year, Carlton fans, alright? Just lower your expectations. But considering you finished 13th last year, I'm putting you at 12th. That's an improvement. So I think you will climb slightly this season, but I just don't think you'll make the top 8 yet. Just keep slowly improving, just like Freo. You're behind us, but that doesn't matter. You beat us every year anyway, and it makes me very sad. In 11th. Colton had a great season, no doubt about it. They've got a Brownlow medalist and another common medalist in their ranks. The first half of their season was magnificent. They started the season 8-2 and somehow managed to miss finals, just running out of gas in the end of the year. But I'm pretty sure Colton will play finals next year. Literally missing out in the last game. It's brutal, but I called it. They're going to miss finals, and they did. In 11th, I have the Richmond Tigers. You can just tell Richmond had a bit of a 3-flag hangover at the start of 2021. Obviously, all their pre-seasons are pushed back every year because you're playing the entire season to the last game. Probably could have made finals last year, but you didn't, and I don't think you will this year either. Wrong. They did make finals. They bounced back very well, and they're still sticking around that top 8 mark. A few big additions in the off-season, they could be right back up there once again. The future is looking bright still for Richmond. But yeah, they had a better season than I anticipated. In 10th place, I have St Kilda. On the money, baby! St Kilda, for me, are one of the most bipolar teams in the competition. They'd have these games where they'd play great, like that comeback win against West Coast, the win against Brisbane, and the win against Sydney. But then just absolutely diabolical train crashes of games, like against Carlton and Adelaide as well. We saw this exact same thing again. St Kilda very bipolar. The first half of the season, they were tearing up teams. The second half of the season, they hardly showed up. Had some very disappointing performances after beating teams like Geelong and whatnot earlier in the year. So, mate, called it. Called them 10th. Spot on, nail on the head. Alright, in 9th and just missing out on the finals, I'm going to put the Essendon Bombers. Woo! Now, obviously, Essendon finished 8th last season, so their fans were expecting them to go up to win the premiership flag. It was a stinking season for Essendon. Brad Scott now at the helm. We'll see how that goes. How much faith do you Essendon fans have in Brad Scott as your new coach? Let me know down in the comments. But I got a lot of stick for this one in particular. I remember Essendon fans getting right into me, saying that they'd finished 9th, missing out on the top 8. And, mate, I was absolutely generous to you lot because you ended up finishing in 15th. So give me some respect now, please. Thank you very much. Coming in at the 8th position, I have the Fremantle Dockers. Put the Dockers at 8th and we finished in 5th. Who would have thought? I was pretty hesitant to put the Dockers in the top 8 when I was making this video. But they've exceeded the expectations that I was hesitant to state. We finished 5th. We were one of the biggest success stories of the year, other than Collingwood probably. And again, I got a lot of flack for this one for putting Freo in the top 8. People didn't believe the heave-ho could climb the ladder in 2022, and we did. Flagmantle was buzzing all year, and it's going to continue to buzz for the next few years. I bloody told you Victorians that Freo are on the up. You listen to me, because I know what I am talking about, alright? Even though I predicted us to finish 3 spots lower than we actually did. So put some respect on the Dockers' name. If we can bring that good footy every week and remain somewhat injury-free, I think we can make the top 8. If we can bring that consistent footy and remain injury-free, we can make the top 8. Did we bring consistent footy? Yes. Were we relatively injury-free? Yes. Did we make the top 8? Yes, we did. Genius, big brain. Oh! We lost Adam Chera, and he's irreplaceable, and he took a spot out of my heart. But we've replaced him with Will Brodie, who seems like he's ready to rejuvenate his career. Said we've added Will Brodie, he's gonna have a rejuvenation, a resurrection, if you will. And much like Jesus Christ, he performed some miracles this year, Will Brodie. We did not know how good of a player we were getting in Will Brodie. The human shovel, we like to call him at Fremantle Land, because he loves that contested ball, getting down and dirty and digging out the ball for the Docker boys. And then also in the draft, we got Jai Amos, a sharp shooting forward that can take a good grab, which we've been crying out for years. Jai Amos played 3 games, played 1 against North Melbourne. I think he got 1 or 2 goals. He got 2, and then he played 2 games in the finals. And honestly, he already looks better than Matt Tabner in 3 games. This kid has a lot of talent. Watch out for him in 2023. In 7th place, I have the GWS Giants. I reckon GWS finished 3rd last. Their club culture is non-existent, really. Players can just leave and there's like no problem with it. We're now seeing Hopper and Taranto, Bobby Hill, Tanner Bruin all requesting trades. It's scary times for GWS as a new franchise. Players don't really want to spend their careers up in Greater Western Sydney. They had a stinker this year, and what are they going to do now? Because they're going to trade away these great players, go back into the draft and draft more players that will eventually want to go back to Victoria. It's a tough one, but I said in this video here, GWS have one of the best lists in the competition. They've been blessed with so much talent through the draft, and they just haven't been able to retain those players, unfortunately. For whatever reason, the Leon Cameron project failed. Not sure why it was, because they have a stacked list. But yeah, it was a massively disappointing season for GWS. In 6th place, I have the Geelong Cats. I don't know what happened to the Cats last year. They seem to have run out of legs. That win against GWS in the semi-final was a win, but it was unconvincing. And then obviously they show up the next week and just get absolutely battered by Melbourne. Bit of a strange way for the Cats to finish 2021, I thought, because they were up there for one of the best sides in the comp at their best at some points last season, but they just had times where they could just turn off. Everyone knows the caliber of the Cats and the list quality that they have, but surely they would have won a flag by now. 2020, they were in the grand final. 2021, they were in a prelim. Have the Cats peaked? That is my question for you to get down in the comments. Have the Cats peaked, or can they make another run for the flag? How have they still not won a flag? They can make a run for the flag past Andrew, and they did, and they won the premiership, and they finished as minor premiers, and they were the best team all season by a horse's cock, not even close. I should have seen this coming, given that they've been so good for so long, and it's just Geelong. They're going to win a flag at some point. As I said, in 2021, they were the best side in the competition 4 periods, and then they ran out of legs at the end. And I think in that prelim against Melbourne, they had a lot of players that were sick. So maybe if they didn't get whatever virus or whatever it was, they could have won the flag last year. But this year, no virus in the finals, and they ran all the way through, belting teams for the last bloody 4 months of the season. I don't think they lost since like round 8 or 9 against St Kilda. So big W for the Geelong Cats. Bit of an L for Drewzy here. In 5th position, and just missing out on the top 4, I have the Port Adelaide Power. Port will be very strong and hard to beat again. Even though this is a
they won't
down the ladder, I think they're just going to be the classic Port Adelaide that everyone knows. And adding Jeremy Finlayson, I think it's going to be dangerous. It's going to free up Charlie Dixon more, and he's a potent forward, Jeremy Finlayson. Could be wrong here, but Jeremy Finlayson's season was pretty underwhelming, I think, as was the entire season for Port Adelaide, who finished in 11th with that poor start. They finished the season somewhat decent, but they were no threat really all year. It was a real stinking year after being in that top 4 sort of area for the last little bit. So I think they're going to have a big season next year. But yeah, this year was absolutely stinking. And this is a stinking tip that I feel like a few people would have made, because you can't really just predict a side that's in that top 4 for so long to just have a drastic drop out of nowhere. So especially after adding someone like Jeremy Finlayson, bit of a weird one. Slipping into the top 4, I have the Sydney Swans. Called it again. I'm not spot on. They actually finished 3rd, but I saw their eyes. I called it. All right. When you make a decent call on AFL YouTube, you ride it all the way to the bank, baby. I actually predicted them to be a surprise top 8 finish, so I'll pat myself on the back for that one. But after here's me reacting to me patting myself on the back whilst patting myself on the back. Knob. The Swans are class, and they're going to be a hard side for any team to beat in 2022. Bang, there you go. Big raps for the Swans, and they made it all the way to the grand final, only to get pumped by Geelong, who as I said, pumped lots of teams. Also had a big win streak to finish the season up until the grand final. They were a very tough side to beat, as I said. They brought that pressure brand for the entire season. They were very consistent this year. Good call. In third position, I have the Brisbane Lions. The Lions have been improving year after year for about 5-6 years now. So I said they've improved every year, and in some capacity, I think they did, to be able to win 2 finals and win a big final at the MCG as well. Breaking that hoodoo, beating Melbourne, who've bullied them. I think they did get better, although they finished lower than they did the previous season where they finished 4th, I believe. So they ticked some boxes that they hadn't ticked last year. And I think by adding the experience of Jack Gunson, the class of Josh Dunkley, Will Ashcroft in the draft, and then that Fletcher geezer as well, they're going to have a lot more quality. Brisbane seems like a destination club at the moment, and I think players see that as a place where you can get success. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Brisbane win a flag in the next little bit. In second place, I have the Melbourne Demons. Yes, I got that one right. Come on! They had a very good run with injuries last season. Only Adam Tomlinson got like a real bad injury. That was an ACL, it was an impact. You can't stop that. We saw Tom McDonald go out, and that was a massive out for them. But they had a lot of players playing through injury as well. Petrarca played through a fair amount of injury. I think Gawn did as well. Pretty sure most of their star players, Lever and whatnot, all played through injury. And it sort of showed they were a bit underwhelming this year. So obviously in first, that leaves the Western Bulldogs. They were so close to winning the flag in 2021, but I witnessed the best half of football I've ever seen by any football side ever, which made them lose. The Demons just outrun them, outclassed them in that second half of the grand final. But they were that close. Will they have Demons this year? Get it? Demons? No, I don't think they will. They did. That grand final loss, hoodoo, followed the Bulldogs, and they slipped all the way to 8th, and they put up an absolutely atrocious second half in that elimination final against Freo, where we came back for that miraculous win. But the Bulldogs were so underwhelming all year. They've never been a really good home and away team. They haven't been able to play consistently for 23 weeks of the season. So I don't know why I put them in first, especially considering they made the grand final from outside the top 8 in 2021. So this is a bit of a stinky call. And the Bulldogs, we'll see how they go next year, but they're just one of those sides that are so hard to pick which way they're going to go. Losing Josh Dunkley will not help that. They're best and fairest winner. Rising star, I'm going basic here. Horn Francis. He was rated above just about everyone in his draft class. Head and shoulders. He is elite. The rest are pretty good. Have you not heard of Nick Dacos, mate? Someone did comment like, bro, have you not heard of Nick Dacos? And I just sort of thought, nah, I haven't. So, hindsight's 2020, as they say. Nick Dacos, clear winner. Who for the Brownlow? I'm going to go with Jack Steele. He puts in superhuman. Don't think he really polled that great this year either. Obviously, the Saints had a pretty average second half of the season. But could definitely win it once the Saints start to win some games, because I honestly think he's one of the best players in the competition in a well-performing side. For the Coleman, I am going to choose Jeremy Cameron. He only played 15 games last year. I'm pretty sure he finished second in the Coleman. He kicked the second most goals in the entire season, including finals, but obviously Charlie Curnow got the Coleman medal. I don't think too many people would have seen that coming. Only a couple goals off. It wasn't a terrible call. And to be fair, he missed the last, was it game or 2 of the season, where he could have kicked the bag and won the Coleman. So not the worst call on the planet. So who is my prediction for the flag? Drumroll, please. I'm going to go Melbourne Demons back to back. All right, wrong. There you go. Geelong won it, and they were pretty average predictions. Not the worst. I had a few good calls. Got Melbourne right. Got Sydney pretty close. Chose Carlton to miss finals, which they did. St Kilda was nail on the head, but there was a lot of stinky calls. A lot of surprises this year with teams like GWS and Port Adelaide slipping down the ladder. But let's hope next season I can be a little bit more accurate to prove that I have a big brain. Now get your abuse down in the comments below for the teams that I got wrong. Go absolutely ham, but make sure you leave a like on the video as well. Subscribe if you're new, and we'll see you in the next video. Take care, you plonkers.